Okay, so this is episode number 3, and again, I'm basically making this a journal, keeping track of everything that's going on. Had my first class last night. As I mentioned, there was the introductory class that was in November and December, but I had my first, getting into the actual processes class last night. And with all first classes, we had to do that introduction thing, which I hate, and everyone goes through, and I think everybody hates it, but I understand why people do it. Got through that, and we actually started installing virtual machines, which was fun. We installed a virtual machine for Windows 10, Windows 7, Windows Server 2016. So I got to learn that process. I had to install VMware, had to install a C++ app or application in there. The funny thing was the teacher sent out an email, but apparently that was held up. And so it came out like yesterday morning, late morning, early afternoon. And I happened to catch it. I thought, oh, okay, some pre-assignment, pre-work for the very first class. And it ended up taking forever to get through all this stuff because you had to download the ISO files. You had to download all this information. Plus I was doing it in advance, so there wasn't really a question and answer. Got all of it done. Took several hours, got all of it done. Went to class, and the professor goes, oh, I know that email went out late. Hopefully you downloaded the ISO files, because they're huge files and they take a while, several gigabytes. Fortunately, I have a fast connection here, so yeah, that went fairly fast. He goes, so let's walk through it. So I got to go through the whole process again. Now, the one thing I've learned is always stay humble. Don't get cocky, don't get confident. And I'm really glad I did, because as we were installing these virtual machines, there were certain things. I mean, the documents to install them when I was going through on my own, 64 pages. You go through it and you do one, you do the second, you do the third, and you start skipping things on the second and third one. I know there were certain settings that fortunately I was watching during the class and I wasn't drifting off or zoning out. So I picked those up and was able to adjust the settings on the fly. That was kind of a good learning experience, kind of a good introduction to what's going on. It was kind of fun. Now here's the part that gets to me. I've been in the Apple ecosphere for years. I mean, by AT&T days, I got the first iPhone. I've been a Mac user for years and years. Well, 10, 15 years I've been into the Mac world. For this class, because so much is done on Windows, I needed to get a Windows box. Everything's wrong. When you go from Apples to Windows, when you're on the browser, instead of going up to the upper left, you go to the upper right, and vice versa. And everything is the same but different. And the best analogy I can give you is, it's like doing everything that you're very good at, but you have to do it with your opposite hand or your weak hand. And you just have to stop and think about everything. There's nothing really radically different. The machines think along the same lines, but you always have to do things different than the way you're looking. And the things aren't quite where you're looking for them. So again, the past 2 days have been a learning experience. I am actually learning Windows again for the first time in years and years. Obviously, I use a lot of thin client. I use a lot of different Windows at work, but 90%, especially because I'm in real estate and I've owned my own businesses when I'm not in the corporate world, I do everything on Mac. And so to switch into this class, not only am I learning in college again, which is a new experience, I'm also learning Windows, and I'm learning how to hack Windows and to build Windows and to work in Windows. So that's been exciting. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about, the last thing, very quickly, is I'm going to call it that's great, now what? So, like in my class, the professor's talking about, all right, so we've been communicating on Slack, and now I want everyone to go to, if you want to talk to your classmates, you can use a Discord server. Great, I've used Slack. I went, for the first class, we got an invite to Slack, we were using Slack, that's how we talked. I'm not that out of it, again, closer to 60 than I am 50. I'm not that out of it though. I use a lot of technology, but using certain technologies, there's always that gap. They say, okay, use a Discord server. Okay, great. Got on Discord, set up an account. Now what? Sometimes the assumption is that the people, apparently my classmates and all that, knew how to find a Discord server and knew how to start communicating with each other. But I didn't. All I had was the statement, okay, if you want to communicate, go on a Discord server. Great. There's no follow-up yet. I mean, sure, all I have to do is ask, and that's what I will do. It's not a big deal. But it's all these little things, all these little transition points. That professor was talking about the best apps to take notes. Great. You know what? Literally, here's my notes. Some of my notes. I still do pen and paper. Great thing. Short version of this, years ago, got in a little situation, took a knife through the hand. Not a joyous, happy way, but so writing notes is very painful. So when the guy was talking about these apps to take notes, I was really excited, looking forward to it. Unfortunately, it was just like, all right, here's some apps to take notes, and it's kind of like, and then what? Okay, how do you use these apps? All these, it's not his responsibility to teach me, but starting out and everything's so fresh to me, it's always, that's great. Then I have to go learn that too and learn this. So I think sometimes the beginning right now that I'm going through, a little bit of extra effort, which is okay because I have the time, a little bit of extra effort learning the tools that I'll need to use as I'm going to class. So all in all, great. I really had fun installing the virtual machines, learning how to do that, learning how to set up my system so that it's totally independent and I can work in these virtual machines without crashing my entire host box, as I know to call it now. Still have my Apple, still doing a lot of my real estate business and personal stuff on my Apple, and my Windows box is basically just for this cyber classes so far, seeing how that's going to work. Okay, well, that's my journal entry for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're feeling the same, hey, I'd love to hear from you. Anybody wants to go through this journey together, reach out, let's talk about it, let's share notes. I'm here just to kind of vent and to share. And so if you want to reach out, feel free. Have a great day, everybody. Goodbye.